Let me ask you something. Have you ever let someone steal your peace? Have you ever walked away from a conversation angry, frustrated, wishing you had said something different, wishing you didn't even care? See, the enemy knows that if he can control your emotions, he can control your focus. And if he can control your focus, he can keep you from stepping into what God has for you. But I came to tell somebody today, you don't have to live like that. Your response is your power. Don't give it away. Too often we think that our anger is caused by what someone else did, by their words, their actions, or their attitude. But the truth is, no one can make you angry without your permission. The moment you let someone else dictate your emotional state, you hand over control of your peace, your joy, and your ability to think clearly. Mastering your reactions isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending things don't bother you. It's about learning how to rise above, how to pause before you respond, and how to operate from a place of wisdom instead of impulse. Emotions are real. Frustration, irritation, offense, these things happen. But emotions were never meant to be the driver of your life. They are signals, not dictators. When you allow yourself to be triggered by every small inconvenience, every negative comment, or every difficult person, you are letting external forces decide how you feel inside. Imagine a person who can push a button and immediately make you upset, distracted, or anxious. That's what happens when you allow someone else's behavior to dictate your reaction. You become a puppet to their negativity instead of the master of your peace. The Bible says in Proverbs 16:32, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-restraint than one who takes a city. That means real strength isn't about reacting in anger or proving a point. It's about having the discipline to control yourself when everything inside you wants to lash out. It takes more strength to walk away than to engage in meaningless arguments. It takes more wisdom to remain silent than to speak words you'll later regret. It takes more maturity to let an offense go than to hold on to it and allow it to take root in your spirit. Every time you react emotionally to something minor, you train yourself to be controlled by external circumstances. But when you learn to master your reactions, you take ownership of your own inner state. This isn't just about avoiding anger. It's about creating a mindset where you refuse to be moved by negativity. That doesn't mean you ignore problems or allow people to mistreat you, but it does mean you handle them in a way that aligns with wisdom, peace, and maturity. Think about Jesus. He was constantly confronted, criticized, and attacked by those who wanted to see him fail, but he never let their words pull him out of character. He didn't waste time arguing with people who were committed to misunderstanding him. He didn't get caught up in petty disputes or try to prove himself to those who doubted him. Instead, he stayed focused on his purpose. And when people tried to provoke him, he responded with wisdom, patience, and authority. If Jesus, the Son of God, didn't let the opinions and actions of others shake him, why should you? People will test you. They will say things to provoke you. They will try to get a reaction out of you just to make themselves feel powerful. But you don't have to take the bait. Every time you feel that impulse to snap, to argue, to prove yourself, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Most of the time the answer is no. Because the truth is, the person who stays calm is the one who holds the power. The world teaches us that strength is about dominance, that it's about winning arguments and making sure people know they can't mess with you. But real power is found in self-control. A person who can stay calm under pressure, who can walk away from negativity, who can refuse to let another person's words affect their mood. That's a person who is truly powerful. When you train yourself to pause before reacting, you give yourself time to assess the situation with clarity. Instead of responding out of frustration, you respond with wisdom. Instead of engaging in meaningless battles, you conserve your energy for what really matters. Instead of letting someone else's bad attitude ruin your day, you decide to hold on to your joy no matter what. Mastering your reactions is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. At first, it may feel unnatural to let things slide, to resist the urge to react, to choose peace over conflict. But over time, as you discipline your mind and emotions, it becomes second nature. You start to recognize that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You realize that your energy is too valuable to waste on negativity. You understand that the real battle isn't with the person who offended you. It's with the temptation to let that offense take root in your heart. Their opinions don't define your worth. Too many people go through life adjusting who they are based on what others think of them. They let criticism, judgment, and outside validation determine how they feel about themselves. But when you rely on external validation, you become a slave to opinions that are constantly shifting. One day, people applaud you. The next, they criticize you. If your confidence is built on their approval, then your peace will always be unstable. True freedom comes when you realize that what others think of you has nothing to do with your identity, your value, or your destiny. From the time we are young, we are conditioned to seek approval. We want to be liked, accepted, and validated. This desire isn't necessarily bad, but when it becomes the foundation of your self-worth, it turns into a trap. If someone praises you, you feel good. If someone criticizes you, you start to doubt yourself. If someone ignores you, you question whether you're enough. Living like this is exhausting because it puts your sense of self in the hands of people who are just as flawed, insecure. The truth is, no matter what you do, there will always be someone who disapproves. You could be the kindest, most talented, most hardworking person, and still there will be people who misunderstand you, dislike you, or try to bring you down. Some people will judge you simply because they don't understand your journey. Others will criticize you because they are dealing with their own insecurities. Some will project their fears onto you, telling you what you can and cannot do based on their own limitations. If you listen to them, you will shrink yourself to fit into the small box they have created for you. God did not create you to live for the approval of others. He created you with a unique purpose, a calling that only you can fulfill. When you spend your energy trying to please people, you waste the potential that He placed inside of you. The more you rely on validation, the more you will compromise. You will start making decisions not based on what's best for you, but on what will make others happy. You will silence your voice, downplay your gifts, and settle for less than what you deserve just to avoid criticism or rejection. One of the biggest traps of external validation is that it is never enough. No matter how much approval you receive, it will never fully satisfy you. You might feel good for a moment, but soon you will be chasing the next compliment, the next affirmation, the next sign that you are worthy. This is why some of the most successful people in the world still struggle with insecurity. They have fame, recognition, and admiration, yet they still feel empty because external validation can never fill an internal void. The only way to break free from this cycle is to anchor your worth in something unshakable. People's opinions change, but God's truth does not. He says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. He says, you are chosen, loved, and equipped for a great purpose. When you start to see yourself through His eyes, you stop looking for validation in places that were never meant to define you. You realize that your worth is not in how many people like you, how many compliments you receive, or how accepted you are by others. Your worth is already established, and nothing anyone says or does can change that. The more you detach from external validation, the more peace you will have. When someone criticizes you, you won't take it personally because you know who you are. When someone doesn't approve of you, you won't feel the need to explain yourself or prove your worth. When people misunderstand you, you won't waste your energy trying to change their perception. Instead, you will stay focused on your purpose, knowing that your value is not up for debate. People's opinions are a reflection of their perspective, not your reality. Someone may think you are not good enough, but that does not make it true. Someone may not see your potential, but that does not mean it does not exist. Someone may reject you, but that does not mean you are unworthy. The moment you stop allowing other people to define you is the moment you step into real confidence and freedom. When you truly grasp this, you will no longer live on an emotional roller coaster, rising and falling based on what others think. You will no longer feel the need to explain yourself or convince others of your worth. You will no longer let their opinions shape your decisions or dictate your happiness. You will walk boldly in your identity, secure in the fact that you are already enough. Stay locked in on what God called you to do. Distractions come in many forms, and one of the biggest distractions in life is worrying about what other people are doing, saying, or thinking about you. The moment you shift your focus from your purpose to other people's opinions, actions, or expectations, you lose sight of the path that God has set before you. It's easy to get caught up in unnecessary battles, responding to every criticism, trying to prove yourself to people who were never meant to understand your journey. But when you truly understand your calling, you stop wasting time on things that don't align with your assignment. Purpose requires focus. Anything that pulls you into frustration, offense, or comparison is a distraction meant to slow you down. The enemy knows he cannot stop what God has for you, but if he can shift your attention, he can delay you. If he can keep you wrapped up in unnecessary drama, responding to negativity, or engaging in meaningless conflicts, he can keep you from moving forward. The more you react to every little thing, the less energy you have to invest in what actually matters. This is why some people spend years stuck in cycles of frustration, never truly making progress, because they keep getting pulled into distractions that drain them emotionally and spiritually. Jesus is the perfect example of staying focused on purpose. Throughout his ministry, he was constantly confronted by those who doubted him, mocked him, and tried to challenge him. The Pharisees tested him, critics questioned him, and people rejected him. But Jesus never let their words, their skepticism, or their negativity distract him. He did not stop his work to address every false accusation. He stayed focused, moving forward, fulfilling his purpose with unshakable determination. If Jesus himself did not let distractions pull him off course, then we have no reason to allow them to take control of our emotions and attention. One of the biggest distractions that keep people from fully walking in their purpose is the habit of comparison. It's easy to look at what others are doing and feel like you're not doing enough or like you need to measure up. But comparison is a thief. It steals your peace, your joy, and your confidence. The moment you start comparing your journey to someone else's, you start questioning your own path. You start doubting whether you are where you're supposed to be. But the truth is, your purpose is unique. What God has called you to do is not the same as what He has called someone else to do. When you are too busy looking at someone else's progress, you lose focus on your own. The only way to truly walk in your purpose is to stay locked in on what God has given you to do, trusting that His timing and His plan for your life are perfect. People will always have opinions about what you should be doing, how you should be living, and what choices you should be making. But the only voice that truly matters is God's. When you are constantly seeking approval from others, you end up living according to their expectations instead of God's calling. You start making decisions based on what will please people instead of what will fulfill your purpose. But no matter how much you try to please everyone, there will always be someone who disagrees, who doubts you, or who thinks you should be doing something different. Living for people's approval is a never-ending cycle that leads to frustration and burnout. The only way to break free from this is to fully commit to what God has placed in your heart and trust that His plan is greater than any human opinion. When you stay focused on your purpose, you develop a different kind of peace. You no longer feel the need to respond to every negative comment. You no longer feel the urge to prove yourself to people who don't see your vision. You no longer get easily offended by things that used to bother you, because when you know where you are going, small distractions no longer have the power to pull you off course. You recognize that every battle is not worth fighting, every opinion is not worth addressing, and every criticism is not worth entertaining. God has something specific for you to accomplish, and if you allow yourself to be caught up in distractions, you will miss opportunities meant for you. The more you focus on your purpose, the less room you have for negativity. The more you invest in what God has called you to do, the less energy you will waste on things that do not serve your destiny. The people who accomplish great things in life are not the ones who respond to every distraction. They're the ones who keep moving forward no matter what. Not everything requires your energy. One of the greatest skills you can develop is the ability to discern what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Too often, people waste their energy on things that do not serve their purpose, do not contribute to their growth, and do not align with what God has called them to do. Every day, there will be opportunities to be offended, to engage in unnecessary arguments, and to react to negativity. But just because something demands your attention does not mean you have to give it. Learning to set emotional boundaries is about recognizing that your energy is valuable and choosing to invest it wisely. Energy is like currency, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. When you give too much attention to things that drain you, whether it's negativity, toxic people, or situations that do not align with your purpose, you have less energy for what truly matters. Many people feel exhausted, not because they are doing too much, but because they are pouring themselves into the wrong things. They are constantly trying to fix situations that are not theirs to fix, worrying about things that are out of their control, and engaging in conflicts that only steal their peace. The more you spread your energy across things that do not serve you, the less power you have to move forward in your purpose. One of the biggest emotional traps is feeling like you need to respond to everything. Whether it's a negative comment, a rude remark, or someone's bad attitude, there will always be something trying to provoke a reaction from you. But just because someone says something does not mean you have to engage. Not every battle is yours to fight. Some things are distractions designed to pull you away from your peace and purpose. When you make a habit of reacting to everything, you give control of your emotions to external circumstances. But when you develop the discipline to ignore what is not worth your energy, you take your power back. Jesus was a perfect example of emotional discipline. He did not waste time arguing with people who were determined to misunderstand him. He did not defend himself against every false accusation. He knew his purpose, and he refused to be distracted by unnecessary conflicts. He set boundaries, walked away when needed, and stayed focused on what truly mattered. His strength was not in reacting, but in knowing when to remain silent and when to speak. That level of wisdom and restraint is what allows you to move through life with peace and authority. One of the ways to protect your energy is to stop seeking validation from people who do not see your value. Many people exhaust themselves trying to prove themselves to others, trying to explain their worth, trying to make people understand them, trying to gain approval. But not everyone is meant to understand your journey, and not everyone will appreciate who you are. Seeking validation from the wrong people will only drain you and keep you in a cycle of frustration. When you truly know your worth, you stop looking for confirmation from people who were never meant to give it to you. You recognize that your value is not based on whether others acknowledge it. Another way to protect your energy is by setting boundaries with negativity. Some people thrive on drama, conflict, and chaos, and they will try to pull you into their storm. But you do not have to participate. You do not have to engage in every argument. You do not have to explain yourself to everyone. You do not have to carry the weight of someone else's negativity. Protecting your peace means knowing when to walk away, when to stay silent, and when to remove yourself from situations that do not serve your purpose. People who protect their energy understand that their time and mental space are precious. They do not allow negativity to consume them. They do not spend hours replaying conversations in their minds, holding on to resentment or worrying about things they cannot change. They choose to focus on what builds them up rather than what drains them. They invest their energy into their purpose, their growth, and their relationship with God. Every time you react to something that does not serve you, you are giving away a piece of your power. The more you engage in negativity, the more control it has over you. But the moment you decide to set boundaries and choose where your energy goes, you reclaim your strength. You begin to move with clarity, with focus, and with a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken by external distractions. The people who accomplish the most in life are not those who respond to every little thing, but those who master the ability to ignore what does not matter and stay committed to what does. Mastering your emotions is one of the most powerful things you can do. Too many people live their lives controlled by how they feel in the moment. They allow anger, frustration, and irritation to dictate their actions, their decisions, and their interactions with others. But when you learn to master your emotions, you no longer react impulsively to everything that happens around you. You no longer give people the power to control your mood. You develop the ability to remain calm, to think clearly, and to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with emotion. Emotional mastery does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending that things don't affect you. It means developing the discipline to process your emotions in a way that allows you to stay in control rather than being controlled by them. Life will always bring situations that challenge your patience, test your character, and try to provoke a reaction from you. But the key is realizing that you do not have to respond based on how you feel in the moment. You have the power to pause, to reflect, and to choose your response. instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that their emotions are facts. Just because you feel something does not mean it is the truth. You may feel rejected, but that does not mean you are unworthy. You may feel disrespected, but that does not mean you need to react aggressively. You may feel angry, but that does not mean you have to act on that anger. When you learn to separate feelings from facts, you gain the ability to respond with clarity instead of reacting from a place of impulse. Many times, the things that upset us the most are not even about the situation itself, but about deeper triggers within us. If someone says something that offends you, it may not be because of what they said, but because of an insecurity or past wound that their words touched. If a situation makes you angry, it may not be because of the situation itself, but because it reminded you of something painful from your past. When you take time to reflect on your emotional reactions, you start to understand yourself on a deeper level. You start to see patterns in what triggers you, and you gain the power to break free from those triggers instead of letting them control you. Emotional mastery also means understanding that not every feeling needs to be expressed immediately. Sometimes the best thing you can do when you are feeling overwhelmed with emotion is to take a step back, breathe, and allow yourself time to process. Many conflicts and misunderstandings happen simply because people react too quickly. They speak in anger, they act out of frustration, and they later regret their words or actions. But when you train yourself to pause before responding, you give yourself the chance to choose wisdom over impulse. One of the most important aspects of mastering your emotions is learning how to shift your focus. Whatever you focus on, you fuel. If you focus on what made you angry, your anger will grow. If you focus on what hurt you, your pain will intensify. But if you shift your focus to something positive, to something productive, to something that brings you peace, your emotions will begin to align with that focus. This is why gratitude is so powerful. When you train your mind to focus on what you are grateful for, even in difficult situations, you shift your emotional state from frustration to peace, from anger to understanding. Another key to emotional mastery is surrounding yourself with people who encourage growth. If you are constantly around people who feed negativity, who react impulsively, who encourage drama, it will be harder to control your own emotions. But when you surround yourself with people who are calm, wise, and emotionally mature, their influence will help you grow in your own ability to manage your emotion. You become like the people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. One of the most powerful things you can do when you feel yourself getting emotional is to ask yourself, will this matter a week from now, a year from now, 5 years from now? Most of the things we get upset about are temporary. They feel big in the moment, but with time they fade. When you learn to put things in perspective, you realize that not everything is worth your energy. You start to let go of small frustrations. You stop holding on to grudges, and you begin to walk in a level of peace that is unshaken by temporary situations. The more you practice emotional mastery, the more peace you will experience in your life. You will no longer feel the need to argue with people who do not understand you. You will no longer allow negative situations to steal your joy. You will develop the ability to stay calm under pressure, to think clearly in the face of challenges, and to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. The greatest strength is not found in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. True strength is found in letting go. So many people walk through life carrying unnecessary burdens. Grudges, resentment, anger, disappointment. They hold on to past offenses, replaying them in their minds, reliving the pain over and over again. But holding on to negativity does not hurt the person who wronged you. It only drains your own peace. Letting go is not about excusing what happened, and it's not about pretending you weren't hurt. It's about choosing to release the weight so that it no longer controls you. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful forms of letting go. Many people resist forgiveness because they believe it means the other person wins. But in reality, forgiveness is about freeing yourself. It does not mean that what they did was okay. It does not mean you have to let them back into your life. It simply means you refuse to let their actions hold you in bondage. When you forgive, you take your power back. You stop allowing someone else's behavior to dictate your emotions. You release the bitterness that poisons your heart, and you make room for peace. Letting go also means releasing the need to always be right. Many conflicts drag on not because of what happened, but because neither side is willing to back down. The need to prove a point, to get the last word, to make sure the other person understands. These are all traps that keep you stuck in frustration. There is incredible freedom in realizing that you do not have to win every argument. You do not have to explain yourself to everyone. You do not have to fight battles that are not worth your energy. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is in knowing when to walk away. Another powerful form of letting go is releasing the need for closure. Many people struggle to move forward because they are waiting for an apology that may never come, for an explanation that may never be given. But waiting for someone else to make peace with you is giving them too much control over your life. Some people will never acknowledge what they did. Some situations will never make sense, and that's okay. You do not need their permission to heal. You do not need their words to move on. Peace comes when you decide to let go, not when they decide to make things right. Letting go also means releasing expectations that keep you trapped in disappointment. Sometimes the reason we feel hurt is not because of what someone did, but because we expected them to be different. We expected them to treat us a certain way, to value us, to show up for us in ways they never could. But holding on to unrealistic expectations only leads to frustration. When you accept people for who they are instead of who you want them to be, you stop being disappointed by their action. You realize that their behavior is a reflection of them, not of your worth. One of the biggest things people struggle to let go of is the past. The mistakes they made, the time they wasted, the opportunities they missed. These thoughts play on repeat, filling their minds with regret. But no amount of thinking about the past can change it. The only thing you can control is what you do next. When you let go of regret, you free yourself to focus on the present. You stop dwelling on what you cannot change, and you start using your energy to build something better. Every moment spent regretting the past is a moment stolen from your future. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop caring, stop trying, or stop believing in better. It simply means you stop allowing the weight of what is behind you to hold you back. You release the need to control everything, the need to fix everyone, the need to hold on to things that are no longer serving you. You make space for joy, for peace, for new opportunities. The strongest people are not the ones who hold on the tightest, but the ones who have the courage to release what no longer aligns with their purpose. When you truly master the art of letting go, you step into a new level of peace. You no longer react to every little thing that bothers you. You no longer allow people to dictate your emotions. You become unshaken by things that used to disturb your peace. You walk with confidence, knowing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on negativity. You develop a mindset that is focused on growth, on wisdom, and on moving forward rather than being stuck in the past. The freedom you seek is not found in holding on. It is found in the courage to let go.